Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vasel and Sam Healey.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel.
Zee Garcia, what's happening?
Sam Healey, how's it going?
I want to clarify something right now. We're talking about SeaFall, but this is spoiler film. And we're not spoiling part of the game, we're spoiling the whole thing.
Yep.
This is mostly a review, so we can talk about things in the game, and if you already played it, or you don't care, but mostly for people who've already played it, you can come and hear our opinions on maybe, and then you know what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. But seriously, if you haven't watched the game, if you haven't played the game, turn this off, because we're going to talk about a lot.
Yes.
So, we're assuming if you watch this, you know how to play SeaFall, so we started playing SeaFall, and it started out as a fairly mundane, go pick up stuff here, with glimpses of supernatural.
Stuff.
And I thought it was Cthulhu. As it turns out, it was...
I hoped it wasn't.
As it turned out, it was what, death?
It was like the apocalypse.
Apocalypse,
the
okay.
Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
But it definitely got more supernatural as time went by, but it took a really long time to get there. I mean, we met the Pirate King. He wasn't supernatural. Nope. He was just some dude.
Yep.
And then we met the Secret Society.
He died by my hand.
Yeah, that was the Secret Society supernatural? I don't think they were.
It's like the...
Again, who cares?
Yeah.
There were supernatural elements
Who
that
cares?
led to us buying more wood, shipping it back, diving into some cave to recover stones that gave you one glory point. Like, at no point do I go, and now you worship Cthulhu. And suddenly you have these 7 new powers, and you actually are different, and your ship can fly, and you can summon the Kraken.
Well, you did get your ship a transport scroll thing.
You know what I mean? None of that stuff, and at any point did you get cooler at doing pretty much anything, except at the end of a 3-hour game, you go, oh, now your hold is slightly larger.
Well, here's the deal, though. We actually, we opened every box in our play except for the final one that transforms the whole game. And to be fair, we did not play that final game where it seemed like a semi-co-op game where you're fighting death and
It's
the
not semi-co-op, just everybody can lose.
Yeah, well, I don't know what that... Okay, so we didn't get there, but after reading rules, we were like, oh, it's the same game, except we have a higher stakes to go for.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. When we play this game, when I play a legacy game, and this is maybe a failing on my part, but I'm always like, what can I do not to help me win, but to open the next box? I always do that. And, so I'll go out of my way to get things done. And so we played kind of accelerated because of that. Because I'd be like, oh, I got to get the next one. We opened up a lot of stuff. And even though I would say we played the accelerated version, the whole thing felt super slow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We opened our first box in the first game, and we were able to... We implemented it right away. Normally... you're supposed to wait till the end of the first game, but we opened it. We started using this stuff right away.
We could.
We could. We were given permission.
Yes, I want to make sure people aren't watching this going, well, you guys played wrong.
No.
We were told we could do that.
Yes, because we were
by somebody important to the game.
Right. So we have a lot of experience playing games. So throwing this stuff in was pretty easy.
It's fine.
Yeah, and I was really glad because I was like, man, I'm glad we didn't have to wait to get into all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Or was it our second? No, it was at the beginning of our second game. Our first game we didn't have it. It was the beginning of our second game, and I was like, oh, we got to wait an whole game because we started it at the very beginning of the first game. And I liked getting the more stuff, but it was mostly just getting the more advisors. The advisors, but even the advisors were kind of mundane, but they were different and unique, and we were customizing them and naming them funny names. When the provinces showed up, I have to say it's one of the most boring additions to a game I've ever seen. You had to get 6 goods, 4 different types, on 2 ships, to a spot. That is an economic, boring nightmare. Mm-hmm. I didn't even do it. You did it.
I did it 3 times.
I never did it. The entire campaign we played, I never did it.
Because to do it, you have to increase your hold. You have to go to the different spots to get them. it's just a long slog to get a province, which you didn't feel was that fantastic anyway.
It's the equivalent of grinding, basically, in a video game.
It's actually, yes, it gives you a victory point, a leg up, so to speak. And yeah, that helps. But in actual terms of playing the game, it doesn't really help you that much at all, because you activate it you got to pay 6 gold to activate it at the beginning of the game. Gives you an extra point. And now, I've got 4 gold. What else can I do? Pretty much nothing.
Tax for a while.
Yeah, you got to spend 2 turns taxing just so that you can do something else.
But wait, the Pirate King keeps showing up and stealing our money.
And so now I got to buy this good so that I have less gold than this guy over here. So that the pirate doesn't attack me. So I'm having to buy things that I really don't want to buy, just so that I don't have the gold taken away from me at the end of the game, at the end of the turn. I don't know. It's just...
Now, I know what they were doing with the Pirate King. They were doing what a lot of TV shows and movies do, where there's this big bad guy who then halfway through the thing you realize, oh, that wasn't the big bad guy. There's actually, Death himself or whatever coming to get us. And so this Pirate King was set up, and I have to say that Pirate King, that whole storyline with the Pirate King was so not fun. I really disliked everything about it. I disliked how at the beginning he was showing up and harassing us and stealing our stuff, and it got worse and worse. And then we discovered his island. It was like, oh, for all the enmity you have out there and for each province you own, those good things that you work so hard for, we have even more enmity against you. And that really was, Sam basically took his game in the hand and went and smacked the guy. You could have lost the game.
The last game, I could have lost the entire thing that I was doing, that entire last game, on 1 die roll. But I was pointed. I was determined to take that guy out, and I did. But then
you could have just easily lost, though, right?
I could have just as easily lost, yes.
And then when you killed him, it was like, oh, he's dead. Long live the king.
Yep.
It was like this big, long storyline that led nowhere, and during it was so annoying. I guess the only good thing about it was the pirates kind of, they calm down once you kill the thing, I guess. But by that time, there's storms and apocalypse and all kinds of other garbage.
Right.
I really wish more good events had been added during the course of the game. Mm-hmm. Is that okay? It's okay to give us benefits once in a while, and instead it was just more negative stuff.
Again, it's a game that I felt largely punished you for purchasing and playing it. And that's not fun, If you are someone who likes that concept of being beaten down at every possible turn, if you want to end the game worse than you started, you want this scorched earth policy, then go for it. But
you guys kind of like games that punish you. You like ghost stories.
Yeah, but the difference there is in ghost stories,
the game, right?
But we're also together. We're like, hey,
but
we're working together to fight against this, and then when we beat it, it's that much better. But it's not like the guy tried to punch me and missed, tried to punch Zee and knocked him out, and so I win. I don't feel necessarily good about that.
Right.
And just each time something new was introduced in this game, I was excited about it. Like, oh, this is where the game's going to open up. And for a while, it was like mundane stuff. Oh, the provinces, boring. But then we got to that temple section of the book, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. Finally, we're going to be not trading wood with the natives. And so we went to these temples, and they were okay.
They were a little bit better than you found some natives. They have lumber. Do you want to take it? Yes. Okay, here's some lumber. It was slightly better than that. Yes. The story elements are there a little bit. You can read about, you kind of feel a little bit cooler about being you.
But these temple things are really hard. First, you got to find them. And then secondly, once you find them, then you got to go do them, and then they shut down. But they're also not easy to do. But the thing I found about the game was it was more fun for me to go off on these adventures and hope I got lucky, or not, than it was for Sam to do his, I'm going to go do this, trade this, trade this, trade this, get provinces. And Sam was winning at the end of the game when we end it, but not by a ton of points. I was getting almost as many points by just exploring and hoping I got lucky.
Random.
And sometimes I got really lucky, which would tick Sam off. And sometimes I didn't get lucky, but I never felt like I was doing well. I was just saying, well, this is more fun. Why should I go around and collect wood, iron, spice, and...
Well, and that's the thing. You were having fun. You figured, okay, I'm just going to go do the fun thing. The first few games I played, I was like, I'm going to try to win. What did that entail at that time? Sail, buy stuff, sail back, sell it, turn that money into victory points. Repeat. Go, buy it, sell it.
By upgrading your ship. Or
by upgrading your ship or buying stuff. Basically buying victory points, okay? That's how you win the game. Shouldn't that be the fun thing?
Or at least as fun, right?
Right, but shouldn't, like, this is like, giving me a role-playing video game where only the side quests are fun and the main story sucks. That's how that felt to me.
Well, I also kept hoping as we got more upgrades for the ships and stuff, I'm like, ooh, when are the really cool ones going to come out? And now we know the answer is never. Yeah. They were never that exciting and good.
Yeah, I just wish,
I just don't understand why we couldn't build our Navy.
Add another ship, you mean?
Have another ship on the board instead of just 2. I mean, really?
Well, when you dived into those tombs, why couldn't I come out of there with a boost? Like, you have discovered the amulet of so-and-so. Put a sticker on your character. Put something, like, make me cooler.
Well, you would get cooler, but it was basically, you get an extra reputation, you get some extra gold, you get 2 free wood,
Super boring.
Yeah. But then, so that wasn't as exciting, but the thing that I was really excited about was when we found the little flashlight. The little, I guess it's a black light, little black light maybe?
Little black light, right.
Little black light, and when they said there was stuff written on the cards, I was like, wow.
That was the one moment in the entire epic campaign that I thought, yes, this is cool. I'm talking about finding it, okay? Not necessarily using it. He's getting to that. I'm talking about finding it. That's the one moment in the entire thing that I felt like now we've pulled out the rug from under us in a cool way.
Yeah. So there was 2 problems with that little black light. One was it wasn't until game 7 that we found it. We found it at the very end of the one game.
Right.
And it's like, oh, wow. Why did you wait so long to show us this? Then we started using it, and you're checking your advisors, and it was fail, 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 fail. Finally, Z succeeded, and it was the guy who was like, hey, man. It was so boring.
Like it tells you, if they make it all mysterious, go read this thing. Don't tell anyone what you read. And you go and read it, and it's nothing. It's mush. Again. That's it.
But then here's the thing I think is actually kind of interesting was where once we ended the game, we're like, why are we checking these guys? So we checked everybody, and we found that if you find these guys, they say, oh, look on the back, and some have that chart which helps you find that thing at the end of the world. Okay, right. Fine. And then other ones tell you to look on your scrolls, and there you found symbols, and then you found on the treasure map these same symbols, and then you found numbers, and you do all that to get a victory point. What? Really? And the only way to get those victory points would be to know all those numbers. The only way to get those numbers would be to get a bunch of those scrolls yourself. The only way to get those scrolls would be to either steal them from other people or have them yourselves. And again, this is the more fun part of the game while Sam's over there trading goods. Again...
But still, you get 1 victory point for doing that, or... which takes multiple turns to do that, right? Yeah?
Right.
Or I can, at the end of my turn, upgrade my ship or build a structure for also 1 point. And I can do that if I have the funds to do it multiple turns in a row. So I've gotten 3 or 4 points in the turn that you take 1. Just doesn't make sense. The point distribution in this game was wacky from the very beginning for me.
Because it's largely based on... There's that layer of you spend this much money, you get a point. Okay, but then on top of that, there's that layer of go read the book. You might just stumble across some victory points. Mm-hmm. And that's the fun thing, right? But it's the luck-driven thing. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? It's like if you want to win, go do some boring stuff. But if you want to have fun, you might win. Hey, you might also bomb. You might not get anything. You might just walk away with everybody hating you and no resources, but you'll have fun.
But the thing was, though, when we found the flashlight, I was really excited about it. Hey, there's a secret society. Again, like I said, I feel like 90% of everything good about this game was in that advisor deck. Hey, they were secret. So we started finding it, and we didn't find anything of interest. We found a couple guys who told us a few things. Mm-hmm. We didn't find any of the guys who said, oh, you can look at the back of the cards, or, oh, you can look at the treasure map. So at the rate we were going, we would have found those over the next 2 or 3 games. Then once we found that, it would have taken us 2 or 3 more games. Meanwhile, all that's kind of cool and neat, but that could have been condensed into one game. That flashlight should have been in the first box. I really think so. I think we would have been playing and like, oh, this is interesting. Open that box. You're like, whoa, my mind is blown. But instead, the first box was, here's some more advisors. Here's some more events. Here's some more stuff.
I guess just to me, my main issue, maybe not, that flashlight thing was cool, but it almost seems like it should have been the payoff to some setting up. And I guess my main issue with the game is that story-driven aspect of the game. It's that I have played this game for 20 hours. I'm still fuzzy on the story. Like, I'm not sure what happened. You know what I mean?
I think that spice is from Dune. I'm still not sure what the spice was.
Like, people take spice and they're addicted to spice. Okay, sure, but like, there's some evil in the world.
Well, no, we know it was death that came up. These guys summoned death. This weird Illuminati
It's all
group.
fuzzy. You know what I mean? None of it was like concrete. I wish the story was a little more solid, I guess. And there you could, from the very beginning of the game, solidify there are traitors among you, and then later on go, and now you have a way to find them with this light. Okay, cool. But that light thing, it was like a 1-2 punch in the same box, wasn't it? It was like, by the way, the secret society among you, here's a light to find them. And just the story isn't quite there for me, The drive to find more lore in this world, for me, wasn't there. I could care less. Who some demon pirate rises from the bottom of the ocean.
Couldn't care less.
Sorry.
Yes. And I just did not find that to have make me feel driven. I just didn't care. The story wasn't there for me, Well,
my problem is I think the story was there in that regard, but we had 2 games worth of story that were spread out over 20.
Well, then that's
way
the same
too
thing.
long.
It's the same
that's what I'm
thing,
saying.
yeah.
I mean, that secret society and all that's cool, but if I was watching this movie and it was 20 hours, I'd be like, why am I watching 20 hours? Do you know why you watch a TV show that's slow and it's 20 hours? Because it has great characters. That's why you watch those slow series. Mm-hmm. And this doesn't have that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't. So I feel like we gave this game a fair shake. More than a fair shake. We played this way more than we would have played a game that we didn't like normally.
Right.
But mostly because my desire to say, what is at the end of the rainbow? And the answer is there's some coins and there's some stuff there. It's neat. And yes, the game is technically replayable over and over again.
It is.
Although you're replaying it with that world you created, so if the world is not really in your favor, yeah, ha 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 to you. But with some of the rules problems, we still don't know if that initial gate, you can jump to the other gates if there's a difficulty number there. We couldn't figure out if the Pirate Island affected the Inquisition Island, if the Patmos Island affected that island. We had issues. Oh, man, I don't know if discovering the mystery of the gold statue meant finding the card. There was a lot of questions that were not answered. So, well, that's our spoiler review. Do you guys have any last things you want to say? Or do you want to go play another game?
Glad it's done. On to the next game, please.
This does not discourage me from playing a legacy game, though. Or even a legacy game by Rob W.
Nope.
I'd be very excited to play the next one.
I think next time I go into one of these games, I'm going to make sure I don't know, I'm just going to make sure I
temper your expectations?
I guess that's it, but also you kind of want to go into a legacy game knowing very little because the discovery is part of it, like finding out what are you going to be surprised by, what are you going to be wowed by.
Yeah, I think the first 2. I mean, we've played 2 legacy games before this one. We've played Risk Legacy. We've played Pandemic Legacy. Those were both good. Those were both home runs. So with this one, we were expecting another home run, and we got a base hit.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that. I mean, it's a feat. It's a marveling feat. To this accomplishment that he's reached. It just fell flat because we were so pumped about the other 2. Now we've got that 1 notch in the loss column, so to speak, and we've got the 2 in the win column. And I think that we'll come to the next one with not tainted, but definitely more okay, let's see what it's, before we get too excited, let's see what it has to offer.
I guess for me, I just hope that, and again, maybe this sounds super pretentious, and I'm sorry if it does, but that I'm hoping that lessons are learned from this. You know, things like, if you have a legacy game, maybe the legacy aspect should be front and center. You know, I'm not going to sell you a gambling game where you make a bet every 3 games. That doesn't make sense. Whatever you are selling us, make that your front and center, you know, put that out front. This is a legacy game that treats its legacy aspects like secondary, you know, ideas. And that's one of the things that bothers me in the game. I would love to play SeaFall, the card game, with the advisors. You know, I would love that. I want those legacy aspects to be there. I want them to be important, in my face, interesting. I want to make choices. I want to put stickers on stuff, rip stuff up. I don't want that stuff to happen once a game, you know? That's part of the issue I think I have.
All right. Well, Sam wins. 73 points.
I think we all win.
Yeah.
68 for Z. I got 67.
67.
Another player got 56. Oh, well.
That other player was sitting right
All
in front of
right.
us. It was
Well, we're done
Derek.
with this.
I feel like we finished a marathon. Folks, we're going to be back with other great reviews, or great reviews of great games anyway. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Zee Garcia. Thank you, folks.
And I'm Sam Healey.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.